You don't lack willpower, you lack a system. The change you keep failing at isn't a character flaw, it's an operations problem. And why community action beats motivation? Why do we walk away from what we've already paid for? Plus, we wrap up by announcing our next book. Let's go.
Welcome to the Leadership Lounge Book Club. Glad to have everybody here. I'm Chris Duncan, and I'm joined today by Shannon McCoy, Alan Edwards, Jay Jacobson. Good to have everybody here.
Glad to be here.
Good to be here.
If you're watching live on YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook, we can see your comments. So give us some feedback, ask a question or a comment, and let us know what you think. If you want to join us live next week, you can catch up on past episodes as well, or you want a weekly reminder, it's all at the Sedaris.com/book club. That's Sedaris.com/book club, CDAERIS.com.
The first rule of book club, we always talk about book club. This week, we're covering some of the final chapters of 280 through 297 of This is Strategy by Seth Godin. The assignment was to come with your favorite points along with your least favorite of these 17 last chapters. But most importantly, what will you take away and apply? We'll first start with Jay today. But if you're an outsourced IT service provider and you want to stop sifting through resumes and start building your team, MSP Hire is for you. Get the right hire the first time, msphire.com. So Jay, what was your favorite points out of chapters 280 through 297?
Well, I settled on chapter 289, coordination failure. And I took a few notes on this, and a lot of that, this chapter feels like a reminder that many teams don't fail because they're lazy, resilient, or incapable. They fail because they're not coordinated. Everyone may be doing something right from their own seat, but the combination of efforts still misses the mark. And it's just kind of a reminder that if we don't communicate and we don't coordinate together, we can have the best strategy. But if everybody's not working toward that goal and working in the same canoe, so to speak, we are destined to fail. So I felt it really hit, what I've been listening to throughout this whole book on the nail on the head, and just talking about the importance of that communication, the importance of that coordination, and in terms of your efforts and pulling in the same direction.
I found it interesting in that same chapter that he, I love the word projects, and I love the way Seth Godin uses the word projects, which is coordinated effort, right? That's a project, and creating systemic change is a coordinated effort. And he even mentions in this chapter the difference in a leader who thinks really hard and comes up with a perfect solution and execute versus the leader who creates a project, communicates to all the stakeholders, and makes meaningful, lasting cultural change.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's what I loved about that chapter as well.
Shannon, did you have anything to add to that?
Not on that note, no.
What do you got then, Shannon?
Well, your intro, which I really appreciated, I think that the chapter 291 is I have some similar thoughts on this. Well, I'll start by, in a practical way, I think that if I invest in something, I want to get 100% out of it every time. I want to milk it for whatever I invested into it. However, chapter 291 is helping me to see that sometimes ignoring sunken costs is the best way to move forward on things. So, for instance, if the fact is, if I invest in this, and sometimes I think, okay, I'm just going to focus on it no matter what, I'm missing out on other opportunities and really falling off what my focus is, what my original strategy was. I have to remember what that was and not just worry about where I lost money. and moving backwards. So
I felt a little attacked on this one. I also marked as my favorite chapter, Shannon. I think it's because I needed to hear it. I've definitely had projects where part of my motivation was to not lose. Now, actually, sorry, I'm being fragmented here. I want to compare this to other advice that I feel is equally valid, which is the only way to fail is to quit.
Right.
Yet sometimes you keep on not quitting because sunk cost fallacy, right? Like, oh, I need to keep doing this. I'm just curious what you guys think about how to rectify those two truths that seem opposite.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of that goes into setting good boundaries as you go into a project. Okay, if it isn't successful, but by this point, this is the hard line. We stop it here and we reevaluate and we decide, okay, how do we regroup from here and not keep doing the same thing that's not working?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel this so personally because I have this side project, right? It's an events venue space here in Squamish, BC. And we've put in so much money. And I try to put that out of my mind and be like, okay, what do we have to do now to be successful? And I keep coming up with ways to make it successful and tweaks, and it's definitely improved every month. But I'm nervous that I have that sunk cost weighing on me, and it shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
I've put this much money in. If I can just put a little more, maybe I'll get it back, which is the wrong type of thinking. It's am I going to have a stronger exit tomorrow if I keep on versus if I exit today?
This is the gambler's paradox.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm already $1,000 in. Maybe I'll double up this time.
Yeah.
Exactly. I have a friend on a practical application here. I had a friend that we both were investing in different courses when we first started our coaching careers, and she invested in two huge programs. It was like one was 10,000, the other one's 15,000, and I remember her saying that one of them she wasn't even going to do, right? And she said she's just going to focus on the other, and it drove me nuts. I was like, how could you? But she made the right choice for herself because she stuck to a certain strategy, and she realized the other one was going to take her off course. So in the long run, she'd make more money, but that would have been a hard one for me.
Yeah, it is hard.
Yeah. This my favorite chapter was 294, which was the Ignore Sunk Clowns, which is a little bit different take on the moving on from sunk cost. But for me, this chapter was basically pure Zen wearing a party hat and clown shoes and a big red nose. In the book, he says, the clown didn't show up, but the cake is still there, the sun is still out, and your friends are all still here. The point is that, and then Zenners have made this claim for centuries that the missing clown is just a fact. But mourning for the clown is something that your brain adds on to the party that makes you have a miserable time at the party because your expectations that you came in with are not aligned with the reality that you're now presented with, which is the clown did not show up. And in Zen, they would say that equanimity is the way out. Is that you feel the missing clown, but don't get swept up by the missing clown. It's just a fact of the party. Right. Your friends are still there, the cake is still there, and the sun is still out. Why are you having a bad time just because the clown didn't? It's because your expectations are now out of alignment with reality. And in the end of that chapter, he comes back to, okay, now what? That clown is missing. Now what? And he gives some other good examples of when you're out golfing and you 3-putt and that's annoying, or you miss a sales meeting, or you botch a slide when you're giving a presentation. They're all just clowns. You got to let them go, and you stay in the party that you actually are in front of, and you have a good time at that party. Just because the clown's not there doesn't mean you can't have a good time.
My recent strong example of this, I hate to keep using the events venue as a space, but this was so powerful, I must share. They had their Instagram shut down, which was a huge portion of their advertising efforts and results and traffic. And it came up every week. Like I couldn't get them to do anything else. What about our Instagram? I was like, I am working all the processes that I can possibly work. That's the now what part. So then I turned it back around. Yes, Instagram is down. Now what? What are you actually going to do besides complain? Why don't you focus on trying out TikTok for the first time? Make better posters. Spend that time cleaning the bar. Right? Like there's like things that we can do and we can control. And I had to say that every week for 2 months. And what's really funny is now that we got our Instagram back, sales are down. And sales are the best ever when Instagram is down. Now, do I think that was cause and effect? I do not. But it was still funny how their complaints weren't effective.
But it is interesting because those kind of pivots really open real entrepreneurs up to look at what else is possible. And a lot of times we can't get out of our own way. We sit there and we've always done it this way and we keep doing it this way. And then all of a sudden we can't and say, okay, now what? And you realize something that is a value that you never saw before. And you know, right now, you know, you talk about the event space and we're living it in our personal lives where we've had to make a huge pivot in terms of our businesses. And my wife went in for knee surgery that went horribly wrong. Well, she ended up, instead of working until age 70, being disabled. Now our whole life plan changed. So what do we make? We make the best of it. We wrote a book. We changed our business model. We now do a lot more coaching. We do, instead of in-person stuff, things we never would have considered before. But you grab onto those things and you say, now what? What can we make out of this? And I'm huge on, okay, let's make some lemonade. We got lemons.
I mean, my other, I have lots of quips and jokes. Another one is have a great day or else you won't. And that would suck. So just have a great day.
Yeah.
My wife's business is also my worst consulting client. And she was literally 2 months ago. She was like, yeah, no one uses my website. I don't maintain it. They're asking me for another $20 this year. I'm just going to cancel it. Instagram gets shut down. She suddenly gets 5 clients from her website. Right. Wow. So fan for life.
Yeah.
And maybe not on the air. I'll say I told you so, but yeah. So now what? Yeah. Let's fix stuff. Exactly. We have time today to also talk about the book as a whole. Does anybody want to, whether it's a favorite chapter, a least favorite chapter, or just a concept you want to bring up from the whole book before we finish it out?
I would like to talk about something that just one word that I never really applied to the business world and strategies, and that's scaffolding. Scaffolding has been, to me, it's been an eye-opener. I've always known that support is important, but this really broadened my understanding of what scaffolding really means and how it can help lead you to success if you look for that scaffolding and help to build whatever it is you're wanting to do. If you're going to do a brand new product line, what are the systems that are already there in place to support you, and what can you go out and get? What can you to make sure you're supported well?
Yeah. Now, would you say that scaffolding is kind of the same concept that we mentioned earlier of buildings and roads, which equals nodes and connectors? That's the scaffolding. Those connectors are scaffolding.
And did we ever actually read that? I don't know that I remember actually reading that. It was like
definitely a few chapters on that toward the beginning.
Right.
Back when we were still shell shocked by how this book was different.
Yeah.
But it is interesting because as we got deeper into the book, a lot of the deeper leadership conversations we've had here, we all of a sudden we're pointing back to something previous in the book, like the scaffolding. One of the things that I brought out of this that I hadn't considered is when you start putting a business plan together, write 3 business plans and then select the one that makes the most sense. Instead of being pigeonholed into one idea, let's look at 3. Those are concepts that I never, because we're always taught, be so passionate about what you want to do that you're going constantly forward. Well, pause, look at 3 directions instead of charging into the one that you think is the only one.
Yeah. I love asking questions because this book challenged me a little bit. And there was one word that came up a lot in this week's reading and a little bit last week. Community action.
Mhm.
He talks about how, heroic efforts don't change the system. It takes community action. But I don't know if he ever connected the dots on how do you create that community action. Yeah, the many are actually can help move things more than the few can, but how do you create that? Is it back to the early adopters bell curve?
Yeah, he kind of tied that in a little bit with the concept of time, which most business plans and most entrepreneurs don't factor in enough. And that was one of the other themes that I saw recurring over and over in this book is factoring in things like time that we don't necessarily look at. What happens when the early adopters are done and it moves on to the late adopters, and those are the concepts of times that you need to account for in your business plan and in your marketing strategies.
It's the least favorite part because we're all like, we write a business plan like, oh, we're going to have revenue by X. And the old adage is revenue is always delayed.
Mm-hmm.
And Jay brought up the point about the writing the 3 business plans. And I was thinking how that could apply as well to an agency or small businesses, how you can also, when you're producing or launching a new product or service, you can also do that with your strategies, right? Just with your strategies, create 3 different strategies that you think will work, because this publication is helping us to see that you're going to be wrong. Yeah. What is it that you want to do? Yeah, it's not going to end up that way, but we're just trying to get the close as we can, right? So
I think I'm going to use this to help motivate some of my clients to take action. It's a big thing that I see that's very different than how I operate. I tend to act first and figure it out later, for better or worse. But a lot of my clients get stuck in that analysis paralysis. They want things perfect before they act. And I'm like, look, you're going to get more information over time. In fact, you're going to get better information over time if you start now, right? Decide with what information you have, get moving, and then you can make new decisions as new data presents itself.
Yeah.
Giving them somewhat like, I hate changing my mind in decisions. And I still believe changing your mind is bad. Getting new data and making a different decision is good.
Yeah. My honest take on this was, and Alan's holding his breath.
That's how I stop myself from keeping talking.
I feel like this is not a book about strategy. This is a book about systems. I bet if we went back in our video, we said systems 1,000 times in each. Probably that's not true, but it's only a 30-minute segment. Systems. And it's a book of sermons about systems. 300 little chapters, little sermons about systems. Some of them are brilliant. Some of them you want to skip and poke yourself in the eye with a fork. And none of them add up to one cohesive argument. They're all just little brilliant ideas, loosely structured together. And I think if you read it for how you read it under that lens, it makes you see systems all over the place.
All
I don't know
right.
about strategy.
So I say yes, and I think he does make the connection, and I have prepared a very short statement about the book to explain my
We
reading.
all sit up straight. Okay,
Yeah.
here we go.
Pay attention. Here comes
right,
the
so-
sermon.
Here we go. If you step back from any one chapter, the whole book, the simple argument is strategy is a system you build.
Okay, you can't do that. Hold on. You can't say it is an apple because it's an apple. You can't say it's a system because
But if you think about it, the book title is "This is Strategy," and then he goes to define systems. He's telling you this is systems are strategy.
I interrupted. Please start again.
Strategy is a system you build, not a plan you write. Godin says it lives where 4 forces meet, and I love these 4 forces: systems, time, games, and empathy. Systems, because that's how the world interacts. Right? We all want when we want, and when we interact, that creates a system. Time, because every strategy is a seed planted now that we have to harvest later when it grows. Games, because you're always in one, right? You have to compete with the system, with another player, with yourself. And empathy, because the people you serve, you have to know what they want in order to serve them. And once you weave those four things together, that's your strategy. And your strategy stops being a do this, then do that. And it becomes just a way of seeing the systems at work.
Yeah. And my 2 cents on that is that in layman's terms, it's like saying that this book is about strategy, and it's saying that the systems are what's already in place, and it's what you could either enhance the system, you can create a new system that goes aligned with it, you can do all these things, right? But your strategy is how you plan to do that. How do you plan to manipulate it? Do you plan on enhancing it? Do you plan on creating a new system?
Yep, I agree.
Well, as I read through this, one sketch kept going through my brain over and over, and that's the Saturday Night Live sketch, Deep Thoughts. It's like I'm stuck in this for 297 chapters. We're going to have deep thought after deep thought, and it delivered. So
This is actually where Jack Handy got most of his deep thoughts.
yeah.
So before we transition into our takeaways from the book, what's a book rating? You use any scale you want, and give. But more important is Chris's ratings right there. But more important is like why? How would you recommend this book or not recommend this book to a colleague?
I would say this book will not make my top 100 recommendations for people that I want to have start a reading program. There were some great thoughts in it, but it isn't enough meat in there to invest the time.
Thank you. Shannon?
I think that it depends on if the person is a creator, is a perfectionist. Then I think I would recommend this publication, because I think it really helped us, because we need to execute, but then we also need to create a strategy. So I just think somebody who's going back and forth might benefit from this book, because it pats them on the back for being a strategist, because a lot of perfectionists are. And so I don't know. I'm thinking that it has some application for me, and I'm a perfectionist, so I loved it.
Yeah. I think if I was forced to write a recommendation, it would say, hey, if you're a fan of Seth Godin and learning more about businesses, then put this in your bathroom and so you can read it while you're in there.
Mm-hmm. That was exactly my comment. Exactly. Perfect bathroom reading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we all confessed last week that we've all ended up quoting this book to a colleague or a client in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's the hypocrisy of the review is that because they are short, and I think this goes to the fact that they are such short snippets and they're memorable tiny little sermon stories, is that you do remember some of the more notable ones and can quickly apply them. But it is the whole lack of a framework in it and the ease of and flow of a book to read that is just missing. So, but it is incredibly quotable.
Yeah.
All right.
I just say real quick, I would say to Mr. Godin, I'd say, yeah, can you come up with a small book that's straight on how to practically, about practicality, what this looks like in business.
Yeah.
Now, there's a good chance he has, and that's just a different book.
Yeah, different book. We may or may not get to that one.
All right. So to conclude this book, what is the one takeaway that either we took or we wish people would take away from this book in conclusion now?
One of 297 themes.
There's only like 150 themes over 297 chapters.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the problem with a book that goes this many directions. It's hard to find a takeaway to give to somebody to really point them to find that in this book. I've talked about before in this episode the value of time, and that was one of the takeaways that I took from this, is factoring that in. But it's mentioned casually enough that it doesn't drive the point home unless you're looking for it.
But your desire is that people understand the function of time and strategy.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And Jay, I'm similar. I have realized from reading this book, again, helping me identify what I've been doing all along, is that I'm really good at playing the long game. And I didn't realize that what I was doing is setting seeds for time. It's like, oh, that's what I was doing. And it helps to explain that and to coach our clients to be similarly minded. Probably the thing that's sticking into my head was from last week, which is that everything we do today could either be building us an asset of some sort, or the time can be gone.
Yeah.
There was a point in here, I don't remember where the chapter was, but I'll say it's my one takeaway. And it has to do with doing research and talking to the right people and not the wrong people. And so how I apply in that is like, since I'm doing a product launch and it's product and service, I'm looking at like, it's saying when you're doing that research, how do you find, you should find your cheerleaders to support you. I guess we could call that even a part of our scaffolding, but we should look for those cheerleaders. And we should look for people who are more like the experts, our mentors or potential clients, truly that person who knows most about it. Their feedback is more important than a friend who's just going to give you a yes and say, man, you're doing great. Looks beautiful. I'd love that. I think we all know that, but it put it in whatever chapter that was. I thought that was pretty solid, sound advice.
I'm always looking for loving critics.
Well, next week we're going to crack open the new book, The Vote.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. The next book is Crucial Conversations, a tongue twister by Joseph Grenny, Carrie Patterson, Ron McMillan, and Al Switzler. We'll get his name correct by the end of it. We're going to cover chapters 1 and 2 next week, where the authors define what actually makes a conversation crucial, the high stakes opposing opinions and strong emotions. And we're going to dig into the question at the heart of the whole book, which was, why do smart people go silent or go violent when crucial conversations occur? So this is your opportunity. Grab a copy of the book, read along, and we will see you next week. Please like and subscribe to your favorite channel on YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook so you can get notified when we start streaming. Thank you to Alan and Shannon from Sedaris Agency and Jay Jacobson from Jacobson Professional Staffing. And of course, a big thank you to our sponsors at MSP Hire. See you next week. Same time, same place, Thursday at noon Pacific. Bring your book and bring your thoughts.